Welcome to my...
Just a great racetrack all around. So much memories have been created here. The progressive banking is a large part of why we get the racing we do. And as we noted in that overhead shot to begin, it's a different oval shape than what we're used to for every mile and a half. This is the only mile and a half to be shaped in the way that it is. Usually it's a quad oval or a tri-oval, but this time it is a true oval, and the both ends being exactly the same with two complete straightaways connecting each of the corners. A lot of drivers love this racetrack because you can go right up next to that wall. We might see some guys doing that here tonight, but I'm not exactly sure if that's going to be the best way to go for tires.
Probably won't, but there's a lot of things that go into what is a track like Homestead, and one that is wildly different, like you said, Francisco, from a lot of other ovals in real life and on the iRacing surface, most notably. We'll take a look overhead, and we'll look at our KBueno track map with images, of course, provided by our friends over at Google Earth. And you can dig down to South Florida. This is the most prominent racing circuit here in this region, 1.5 miles. This track built in all the way back in 1995. It was actually an effort for the city of Homestead and Miami-Dade County as a way to rebuild after the devastating effects of Hurricane Andrew back in 1992. There is 21 to 22 degrees of banking over in each and every corner, progressive as a matter of fact, which will allow for multiple grooves throughout, of course, located all the way in Homestead, Florida. It was a coalition effort between the city of Homestead and Miami-Dade County, hence giving it the name Homestead. On the track, located on the Sunset Horizon. On the front,
your second row, it doesn't seem to be able to show up for us, but it does show Brian M. Smith in that third position, just behind your top two. And unfortunately, I don't have the rest of the field pulled up on my end to really give a full out reading here.
Well, we'll go here. Brian M. Smith will be third. Jacob Smith, rather, with the Smiths will categorize row number 2, with AJ Green being behind them. Jake Royale going to make his first start in a while here in the 4-wide racing ARCA series. He'll line up in 6 on row number 3. Brandon Banks, Charlie Harcum will round out your row number 4, with Eric Schaefer to row number 5 with Joe's chip competition. But it's a different challenge here in the ARCA cars. These cars necessarily don't run at this track. They haven't ran at this track in a really long time, ever since, I believe, 2010, when the NASCAR Nationwide Series still used the Gen 4 Cup Series cars. What do we expect out of a car like this, at a track so dynamic?
I think you're probably the one to better give a description. You've actually driven on this racetrack with your own street car here before. You know, to an extent, what it's like to drive on this surface with this worn-out surface here, especially in the summertime when it's hot.
Well, I can't say anything because these cars have way more power than my car could ever have underneath the hood. So it is a challenge, but I think we're probably going to look at a lot of downforce problems. These guys are going to be slippery around this Homestead Miami Speedway. It is rather cool, so it's not going to be too harsh on the tires, but if you do get a little over-aggressive, you do get over-eager, it could put you in a tough situation. Speaking of the weather, we'll just go over the weather just for a moment before we go green. Our weather outlook is 79 degrees Fahrenheit. It's sort of a late summer evening here in Homestead, Florida. Winds to the east at about 10 to 11 miles per hour, so there is a good amount of breeze here from Homestead. Humidity at 1%, fog at 0%. It's a partly cloudy afternoon here. Going into the sunset, probably going into the nighttime. We'll probably see the lights flicker on anytime soon. The drivers will be racing directly into the moonlight. Pace car will make its way off to the safety of pit road. It's the 45 of Jacob Denson. The car is outside, ready to take the green flag from Homestead.
And then you can see already aggressive move there to the inside goes Brian M. Smith, and that lead from third place immediately on the first lap, and it seems like we have a caution.
Caution already out on the speedway. Everybody's slowing down.
Joe Sanchez.
And it's Joe Sanchez. You see him right there up on the outside wall. He's already got some problems to start this race. The driver, the 55, with some damage, at least mostly rear-end damage from what we can tell, as opposed to anything else right now on the racetrack. I think he might have had either a self-spin or probably just a contact from the driver going into the first corner. So already, before we even get the first lap, caution out on the speedway. Let's see exactly what happened. This is Joe Sanchez in the middle of the track. Francisco, I said drivers are going to be loose, and that's the cause of this right now.
You know, Homestead is the track I have the most experience at, and that right there is very typical of a start at Homestead. The car is looser here than it is anywhere else on any other track, through 1 and 2 on these cold tires, it is very easy to lose the back end. You think you could just go full throttle through this first corner, and that's exactly when it catches you out, because even when you're part throttle, it can still catch you out. This first lapper and new cold tires, it'll likely put someone in that sort of situation, and it looks like it caught Joe Sanchez out.
Caught Joe Sanchez on the wrong end of the stick. You saw, I believe, Jesse Prees in the 0-0. He tried to get by, but made some contact and ultimately made Joe Sanchez go for a further spin into the outside wall. There you see the 55 right now on the racetrack trying to recuperate. I believe he got some damage repair. You see a little bit of crinkle there on the rear end, but believe he will be okay. But what a move by Brian M. Smith, Francisco. We saw him as a ARCA driver coming in from Bristol, took start, and already at Homestead out of the gates swinging in his Chevrolet Impala.